One of the great things about a home practice is when you notice that one side, one shoulder, one leg has a little bit more strength or flexibility than the other. It's hard to balance the practice. When you go to class, we spend a certain amount of time on one side and then we go to the other side in poses. But at your home, once you figure out certain areas need attention, certain muscles need more flexibility or more strength, you can spend the time to dive a little bit deeper on those sides that you feel could use more attention. So in this practice, we'll be doing just that. We'll be doing the poses and then choosing how to go deeper in the pose by going to the side or going to the action that you could repeat to get just a little bit more out of the pose. Let's try this approach on a very simple thing. I love to work lengthening the side body before moving the spine in the 7 different ways. And one way to lengthen the side body is simply to do a side stretch, seated however you like. Take your right hand up and reach it over to the side just a little bit. And feel the breath just expand through the right side ribs. Release your right hand down and just notice what you feel on the right side now. Take the left arm up and reach over to the left side. And again, spend the time to charge the breath, to engage, so that you feel how the left side feels. Now release. Now determine for yourself which side could use a little bit more attention. Maybe it's lengthening the side body, maybe it's more engagement. We'll have that opportunity to do that side again. Whatever side it was for you, take your arm up and reach over and see if you can just breathe in to expand through the side body so that we can balance out our asana practice, balance out our bodies so that there's more synchronicity in the movement. Release down. Now come to lie down on your back. Once again, we'll be observing the right side ribs and the left side ribs. Lie on your back. Take your arms up. Engage by spreading the fingers. Engage the legs by spreading the toes. Walk your feet over to the right side. And notice how you feel slightly different on the left side than the right side. Now walk your hands over to the right and stack your right hand on the left hand. Maybe you can even get a pulling sensation with the right hand urging the left hand to the right side more. Now breathe into the left side ribs. And release, and just keep in mind as you come back to the center position how that felt. Maybe there was one area that could have used just a little bit more fullness. Step your feet to the left side and just feel how the right side, you start to feel more length there. And breathe into that. Now walk your hands over to the left side. So you form this letter C, and you're really expanding through the side body. Take your left hand on top of the right and maybe even pull the right hand with your left hand a bit so you get even more expansiveness. Now release your hands. Walk your feet and hands back to the center position. And notice the difference. What side do you feel could use just a little bit more attention? Go to that side. First, step your feet to that side. Feel the difference. Now step your hands to that side. Taking the inside hand to create just a little bit more length through the outside hand. Release yourself back to center. Release your arms down. Bend your knees. And turn yourself over to come to tabletop position. In tabletop position, with your toes tucked under, take your pelvis back, with your pelvis reaching back toward your heels, with your toes tucked under. Notice what ankle area is feeling like it could use a little bit more help. With your hands, press the mat. Keep on drawing your pelvis back. Now with the strength of the arm on the side where you feel like it could just use a little bit more work, push into that side, push the hand down, and as if you're isometrically trying to reach it forward so that you take just a little bit more engagement on one side compared to the other. Release yourself back to tabletop position. In tabletop position, step your right foot forward. I like using blocks or a strap or a blanket, so I always have them near me when I'm doing my yoga practice. So I'm using blocks now so that I can just feel the difference between the right side hamstrings and the left. Lift your right toes up, spread your toes. Just get a nice engagement as you drill your right heel down and you pull in, and just a nice, easy, soft bowing forward. Don't go too far, just kind of notice how the right leg is feeling. And we'll trade sides to do the same on the left. As you take your left foot forward, you spread your toes, you drill the heel down and pull in from the heel to the pelvis before coming to a soft and easy forward fold. Now you decide what side could use a little bit more attention, maybe a little bit more engagement in the movement. Step that foot forward. So we get a little bit more opportunity to create this sense of equipoise, this sense of balanced action on the sides. So that side that you discovered needed a little bit more attention. We draw down, we engage, and we just give it a little bit more TLC, a little bit more care in our yoga practice. You can release out of the pose. If you're using blocks, you can take them to the side. Come to downward facing dog. Lift your pelvis up. And notice now the strength in the arms as you spread your fingers to get a firm foundation in the hands, as you spread your toes to get nice foundation in your feet. Lift your heels high, bend your knees. Can you feel any difference in the legs here? Let's see, as you keep the left knee bent, straighten your right leg and reach your right heel down. Notice what's going on in the right leg. Bend your right knee. Take your left heel down and reach from the heart to the pelvis, pelvis down to the heel. And lift up the heel. So now with the knees bent, you make the decision. Let's give a little bit more concern to that one side, one leg that could use a little bit more time in the pose. So whatever leg that is, straighten the leg and reach down from the heart to the pelvis all the way down to the heel. Get this nice engagement in the pose. Now walk your hands back to your feet. Take your hands right above your knees. And as you engage your legs nicely, you pull toward the midline of your stance in this chair pose. Reach your arms up. And once again, let's understand the side body length in a simple twist. Take your right hand down to the outer left knee and open the chest. Just notice that feeling, that sensation. Come back to the center position and do the same with the left hand on the right knee. Now, which for you felt like could use a little bit more attention? You'd like to go a little bit deeper in that side. So do that side once again. As you take your hand to the outer knee, you open the chest nicely. Release your hands down to the mat. Walk them forward. Come to downward facing dog again. Use this as a pause in your practice. Just notice when you give a little bit more attention to a side that might be feeling a little contracted, how you just have this feeling, how gradually your poses seem to reflect more stability, more engagement. Now walk your feet up to your hands. Place your hands to your low back and rise up. Pause and stand in Tadasana. Breathe in and breathe out long. Breathe in and reach your arms up and slightly back. Breathe out, take your hands to the mat and step your right foot back. Bring your right knee to the earth. Take your hands right above the left knee. Settle deeply into your pose. Engage the back leg. Press firmly down through the toenails. From here, reach your arms up and back. Release your hands down. Step your back foot forward. Place your hands to your low back and rise up. Feel the difference between the right leg and the left leg. Take your arms up and back again. Take your hands to the mat. Step your left foot back. Bring your left knee to the earth. Toenails to the earth. Take your hands right above your knee. Settle into the pose. And study the action. See if you can go a little bit deeper in the pose. Reach your arms up. your gaze up and back. Release your hands down. Step your back foot forward. Place your hands to the low back and rise up. For whatever reason, you might be drawn to practice one side again. So let's go to that side. Inhale, reach your arms up. Your choice, whatever side you chose. Step that foot back. Bring the knee down. Take the hands right above the front knee. Reach up and back. Take your hands down. Step the back foot forward. Place your hands to the low back and rise up. Take a wide stance. Parallel your feet. Take your hands right at your hips. Pull your feet in toward each other and draw down in a forward fold. With the fingertips on the mat or on the floor. Center your right hand and take your left hand to the low back. Do an easy twist, turning your gaze toward the left. Release your left hand down, center it, take your right hand to the low back. And release down. Now whatever side felt like it could use a little bit more attention, do that side. You park one hand on the floor and another hand to the low back and come to the twist a second time. Release, bend both knees, walk your hands over toward the right side, bend your right knee more. Take the top of the left thigh back. Come back to the center position. Walk your hands to the left side. Bend your left knee a lot as you take the top of the right thigh back. Bow in. Now, what side would you like to enhance the movement? Go to that side. Draw yourself slightly deeper, both deeper in the engagement. And once you have that engagement in the flexibility, see if you can just bow a little bit deeper in the pose. Come back to the center position. Heel toe your feet in toward each other. Place the hands to the low back and rise up. We focused on the imbalance in the legs and in the sides of the body. Now let's see if we can see any differences between the right shoulder and the right arm and the left arm. So take your right arm up and pat yourself on the back. Just notice that stretch on the bottom side of the right arm. Release your right hand and take your left arm up and pat right between the shoulders if you can. Just notice the stretch there. Now, what side would you like a little bit more length in the tricep muscle here? Whatever side that is, take the arm up and give yourself a pat on the back. Open up to get that length. Now you can release Let's do a pose where we go a little bit deeper in the shoulder opening. I like using the strap for this pose. Using the strap, take your right hand up and do that same action that we just did. Take the right hand and just pat it right between your shoulder blades. Take the left hand somewhere on the strap. Some of you can grab hold of the right hand, but in this practice, we're really just trying to understand each side a little bit better. Step your feet nice and wide apart. And let's check out the right side here as you hold on to the strap and turn your right toes out. Get the length from the armpit all the way to the elbow. See if you can get the underside arm, the left arm, to travel up the strap a little bit more. Bend your knee, draw your heart down toward your inner right knee. Keep your back leg really strong. Inhale, lift yourself up to come out of the pose. Now take the strap in your left hand. Turn your right toes in, your left toes out. Take your right hand as far up the strap as you can manage. Not so that it hurts, but just give yourself a nice stretch. Bend your knee, left knee bends. You draw down toward the inner left knee while keeping the right leg strong, the arms working strong. Inhale, rise up. Now you get to choose which side you'd like to repeat to go a little bit deeper. As you do, turn your toes in that direction, grab the strap, bend your knee, go deeper. Invite the breath to create just a little bit more fullness in the sensation of the pose. And on the in-breath, rise up and release your strap. Triangle pose is a pose that we do in so many classes and so many practices. So we'll keep the legs straight, and just like we did in the runner's lunge, we'll just determine which side could use a little bit more fullness in the practice. We'll start with the right toes turning out. Lift your arms up and go to the right. Take the right hand down, the left arm reaches up. Just find fullness in your form of the pose. Keep rooted through the back heel, so you can trust in the back foot to help lift you out of the pose. Let's come to the left side. Remember how things felt on the right as we go to the left. And enjoy a nice fullness in the pose. Inhale, rise up. Now, was there one side that you could really feel like it's time to go a little bit deeper in that side? Go to that side and once again, come to your triangle pose on that side. Connect with the breath. And root down to rise up out of the pose. Release your hands. Come to tabletop position. In tabletop position, step your right foot right between your hands. Take your hands right above the right knee, which is right over the right ankle. Tuck your back toes under and reach back toward the left heel. Reach forward with the right hand. There are many pieces to this pose. Just notice where you feel expanded, where you feel stable. Just let the breath help take you into a deeper expression of the pose. And rise up. Let's come to the opposite side and try to remember aspects of this side so that as you compare the sides, on this side, I need a little bit of padding for my knee. So by all means, double fold your mat or use a blanket or something if you're feeling the same thing. In the pose, with the left foot forward, take your right hand back to the heel, take your left arm forward, plug in and reach up and over. And rise up to come out of the pose. And once again, tabletop position. Just pause here with your toes tucked under and draw back. And just focus on the right foot forward, how that felt. The left foot forward. What side might be able to benefit just a little bit more from repetition of that pose? So as you come up to tabletop position again, come to that side that you feel like could use a little bit more time in the pose. Come to the form of the pose. And as you create this nice fullness in the back bend on whatever side you're at, find the breath. See how that can create more fullness in this side. And rise up out of the pose. We'll come to seated poses next. Come to the balanced pose of Dandasana with the feet forward. If you feel like you need a little elevation because the low back rounds, then by all means, sit yourself up on a blanket or towels. Bend your right knee and take hold of your right foot. Lift your right foot up and draw your right knee back. Now reach the right foot forward and take it down. Bend your left knee. Let's just compare the hip flexion in this pose here. Take a hold of the shin or the ankle or the foot. Draw way back. What side feels like it's a little bit more engaged, or you have more flexibility, whatever. And once you've made that evaluation and come back to Dandasana, pause here. And now go to that side that could use just a little bit more practice. As you do, take hold of the shin, the foot, the ankle. Draw way back for as much hip flexion as you can manage. And slowly release down. Back to Dandasana. On the next pose, Ardha Matsyendrasana. Bend the bottom leg, left knee is down. The right foot is just to the outside of the left knee. Now, for some of us, It's just not comfortable in this position, so the bottom leg should be straight, if that's the case. We don't want the yoga practice to feel like it's hurting you. So come to a pose that resembles this pose, and just notice how the sides might be slightly different for you. So turn toward the lifted right inner knee. Step your right hand back very close to the sacrum, very close to your sits bones. Press into the mat to get tall as you turn easily to one side. And release out of the pose. And let's do the same on the opposite side. So the right leg is down, the left foot crosses over, and you come to a very easy version of this twist. Take your left hand right by the sit bones so that you can get tall in the form of the pose. And come to the twist. Release yourself out of the twist. Take your feet together, and while you're considering the twist to the right and the twist to the left, take your feet together and just draw forward in Baddha konasana. Now come to that side of the twist as you rise up out of the pose. Come to the form of Ardha Matsyendrasana once again, so that you can give just a little bit more TLC to that side that could use the attention. Release out of the pose. Lie on your back, and if you've got a strap, grab it. If you don't have a strap, you might be able to use a towel or something else to improvise. Lie on your back with your knees bent and your feet planted. Take hold of the strap and place the strap at the base of the toes of the right foot. Holding on the strap in both hands. As you hold on to the strap, engage your right foot by spreading the toes. Reach your right toes just a little bit further toward the top of the mat. Feel a nice stretch there in the action. Release your right foot out of the strap. Take your left foot in the strap. Reach up. Spread your toes. Draw your left big toe up, the baby toes back, and get a nice hamstring stretch there. And just notice how this feels compared to the other side. Release your left foot out of the strap. Now you decide what side could use a little bit more attention. Take that foot up into the strap. Reach over. This practice is something I've always wanted to do in my own practice, to just give that side that could use a little bit more attention, that attention in the practice. And it's so unfortunate that the class situation really does not lend itself to doing this kind of practice. You can take your strap off your foot, and with your knees bent and your feet planted, take your feet as wide apart as the mat is and draw your knees over to the right side. Reach your left arm up and over your head. Just let the back of the hand rest. Just feel the nice twisting action in this pose. Take your knees up. Release your left arm down. Take your knees to the left side. Slide your right hand up and over your head. Let your breath help to find fullness in the side body. Lift your knees up, take your feet together and knees wide apart, and just come to this Supine Padangustasana pose. And just remember the twist that you just did. What side felt like you'd like to be there again? Just observe more about that side. Draw your knees together, step your feet as wide apart as the mat is, and go to that side that you feel could use just a little bit more time in the pose. Let your breath create even more fullness. And lift your knees up and take your arms down by your sides. Once again, take your feet together, your knees wide apart. Press firmly the feet in toward each other. Maybe even on this you notice a difference. Maybe your right foot is pressing a little bit more than the left foot. See how you can balance the sides out. When you start to notice the differences, maybe you notice that one side you constantly came back to doing that side again. That speaks volumes in your practice. When you notice the idiosyncratic aspects of your poses, the strength, the stability, the alignment on one side compared to the other, it brings this refinement to your practice, brings this clarity, it brings a focus to your practice. You notice yourself engaging more in the pose, paying more attention. Now draw your knees together and let the feet just slide down so that the legs are straight, the arms. equidistance from the midline. With your eyes closed. Even here in Savasana, you might be noticing more sensations on one side than the other. Now, how can you balance that out so it feels like the equipoise, the balanced action that we are drawn to create in yoga? Thank you for joining me in this exploration of your own practice, getting to know your body and how you can improve and refine the actions even more fully in your yoga practice. With gratitude. Namaste.